What makes you think she's a witch?
Well, she turned me into a newt.
A newt?
We got better.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think with flies. Think.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Wait, master. It might be dangerous. You go first.
Using his vast knowledge of history and politics, we start our day off right with motivational speaker Richard Battle.
We are so lucky to have this guy on this program just because he survived what's going on in Texas. The only thing even comparable to Minnesota being on the news forever now, it seems like forever with what we've got going on, is you poor people in Texas, you got ice. I'm sorry to hear it, Battle, but that's the news. How did you survive?
Well, I'll tell you, I wish we'd get that ice in about July when it's 105 degrees. But it immobilizes you is what it does, because when you have sheet ice 2 inches thick on driveways and roadways and you cannot walk without falling, we're not as tough as you folks are. I didn't have any spiked shoes to walk across the ice.
That is so funny. I actually went through, I had some spikes for my bottom of my boots, and I actually wore through those this year. I got to get another set. But you had told me, I don't know if it was on the air or not, but after you were going to try to miss this bad boy. You're going to head south. I don't know if it was on the air or not when we talked. You were going to head south. How did that plan work out for you?
Well, it worked great until I came back a day early.
What, no weather forecast down there? What do you mean you came back a day early?
Well, I was hoping the road would be clearer than it was.
Oh.
So we had some challenges. I had less if I'd waited a day.
All right, you're from the San Antonio area. My wife and I were down there a couple of years back, and I've never seen this before, and it drove me crazy. You have these huge overpasses, we call them, but it's more like a carnival ride, in that you go up, got to be 4, 5, 6 stories high as you bank over the roadway. We go about 20 feet in Minnesota. That's all. I don't know why we do this different than you. But how in the world do you drive those when it's icy out? I mean, I was scared to death in the middle of summer.
Well, you don't, and I'm on the west or the Seine side of the Austin area, and we have one that's 120 feet high.
That is crazy.
And yes, you don't drive on those when it gets bad weather.
All right, that's some crazy engineering going on. I've never seen anything like it. And when you're saying you're going south, I'm like, how would you get on that road and stay on that? Anyway. Glad you're okay, my friend. I'm glad when does the ice break for you guys? I mean, when do you get a day that will melt all that away? It could happen in one day, I presume.
Hopefully today. And I live in an area by a lake that's got a bridge 190 feet over this river. And if it ices, you have to go around, and it can add 2 extra hours to your trip going around a different way than going over that bridge. So there's a lot of people around the country that have issues like this also.
Well, it wasn't the national news. I mean, up in Minnesota, it was really cold, but we get really cold in January. I don't know if we were all that shocked. It's still painful. But the fact that you guys from Texas all the way up to New York, this is the story. We have snow. There was a guy on Fox, the weather guy, and he should be, I don't like violence, should be slapped up. This guy gets a national time to be the news guy out in New York City because they got 4 or 5 inches of snow. And he goes, just let me show you something. And he had the news guy, the camera guy pan down to his feet, and he put his foot in a little snowbank. He goes, all the way up to the top of my boot. And I'm like, that's what you got? That's what you got? We're pausing the national news. It was but I get it. You guys aren't used to it, but come join us one winter. Just be here one winter. What's the farthest north you've lived, Battle?
Well, I lived in Chicago when I was in 5th and 6th grade.
Okay, so you probably remember what snow's all about.
I shoveled my share of snow,
okay,
yes.
Fair enough. Then you're one of us. As long as you spent a winter shoveling, then you're one of us. I can live with that. I get living down there, but I wouldn't drive on the roads. Anyway, I'm glad you survived. I'm glad to have you here. We're going to talk about the signing of the Declaration of Independence today. And I thought your article on this is just hilarious. Let's talk about John Hancock.
Well, the reason I brought up John Hancock for today was his birthday was the 23rd of January.
Oh, I did not know that.
And so we used to, when I was younger and you were younger, people would tell you when you went into the bank to sign a document or someplace else, put your John Hancock right here.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if anybody says that anymore. I don't think so, but they should. And of course, the people that don't know why and what that means, shame on them for being patriotic Americans if they don't know what that means.
The other thing I was going to say is that, do you write checks anymore? Besides saying put your John Hancock in this, the other thing is you always go through January putting the wrong date on it, last year's date. That doesn't happen anymore. My kids have never written a check. There's only guys like me that still write a check once in a while that still screw up the date. Do you do that?
Well, I write a check about once a month, once or twice a month. So, but
It's just
I don't
gone.
try to. It's only if that's the only way I can transfer the money.
Oh, I'm a check guy. I don't believe them card things. But the John Hancock thing. So put your John Hancock. It's because he was the first guy to sign the Declaration, right? Is that why we go with that?
Yes, and of course you have to realize why was he first? And so he was.
That's a good question.
Older than the other patriots, and he was a businessman, a wealthy businessman. And so when the British started putting the taxes on the colonists, they impacted his business. Yeah. And he decided to take part of his time to involve himself in politics because the politics were adversely affecting his opportunity to conduct business. Right. And he was older than Thomas Jefferson and some of the other patriots of that time. So he and Samuel Adams ended up being a couple of the leaders of the movement, if you will. And I think it's fascinating to me that what kind of started everything was the Stamp Act in 1765. And if you realize it, it was 10 years before the actual hot war began, if you will. And then another 8 years after that before independence was declared. So these guys were at it for 18 years that were on the front end of this. And that's what's amazing to me was their leadership, their stick-to-itiveness as well.
Well, we always think, July 4th, that's when they signed it. It was just from July 3rd, the king had us, and then the next day we were free. No one seems to put together, like, say, 18 years of this. But I want to get to the signing itself. These guys, I wonder if there was a lineup. Did they decide, let's go by age, Hancock, you're the oldest, you go first? Did they think that would become a thing, who signed and where on that document? Or were they all just scared to death that once you sign this, what was it, your lives, your fortune, your honor, your first children? I mean, right? I mean, what were they thinking when they signed it? Oh, I want to be first. I want my name at the top. Was it anything like that? Or was it like, oh, crap, here we go, and then sign it?
Well, I think that's a great question. And so here they had worked for months on this particular document. Yep. And they pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, which was in the document. And so just like anybody else, you get ready to sign a new loan for a house or a car loan or something. What happens right before you sign it? You always pause. Yep. You're sitting there thinking, what am I getting ready to do right here?
This isn't like a car. This isn't like a car payment. This is your entire livelihood if you sign this bad boy. Yes.
When their name became public, they became traitors to the King of England, and they had death warrants put out on their lives. And so there was a hesitation. Well, John Hancock was president at that time of the Continental Congress. And so he stood out as an example and an encouragement, and he signed his name first and extra large. And that's when he said, I guess the king will be able to read this without his spectacles, because he wanted to make sure the king knew it was him. He didn't want any mistake about who signed it. That's how brave he was.
See, and I think that's what happened, because he's relatively first. He's at the top. He signs it large. It's good. You don't want even his spectacle to tell me. Is that kind of leadership, and I don't even know if it's planned or just what's in your guts. He does that, and you can't tell me that doesn't help everyone else down the line saying, well, John can do that, and he's willing to put his stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? That just that comment, and I'll even show you, I'll make it big. It's not, I'm not scribbling nothing here. I want them to know that's some cool leadership going on right there. You know what I'm saying? That is cool.
That is leading by example.
Exactly.
And for the entire history of mankind, leading from the front or leading by example has been the best leadership. We had a president in this country a few years ago that tried to sell us on this concept of leading from behind, which is anathema to true leadership in any kind of endeavor. He put his name out there. That encouraged the next person who signed. Everyone who signed became an additional encouragement to those behind them in line to sign the document.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it coming up here in a moment. I love this. It's Richard Battle on the Al Travis Show.
Stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol. You need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
Braver Angels Minnesota is part of a national movement that brings together conservatives, liberals, independents, and others to restore trust, respect, and goodwill in politics. We seek not to eliminate our differences, but rather deal with them head on, with respect and understanding. We do not try to change people's views, but how they view the other side. There will always be differences. Braver Angels Minnesota believes the best way forward is to change how we deal with those differences. Join the civil conversation at mn.braverangels.org. Need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
And if you're just joining us, we've got on Richard Battle in talking about John Hancock. It was his birthday here the other day on the 23rd. So he goes and signs the Declaration, big and strong, and let King George not be able to see that without his spectacles. Got that. People start signing it. But that was kind of a death warrant for him. Did the English just come right over and pop him? What happened with John Hancock after the signing?
Well, I think the whole question for all 56 signers is pertinent because, yes, there was a death warrant. 9 of the signers died in fighting or combat. One lost 2 sons in the revolution. Another had 2 sons in prison. Some lost their wives. Some had their properties destroyed or stolen. All of them suffered. But to me, one of the most amazing things of those 56 individuals was that none of them betrayed their pledge to each other, their lives, fortunes, or sacred honor. And to me, the character of those people to withstand all of that suffering that they went through for us, not just the people then, but they suffered to give us this gift we have. And hopefully we will not waste it or throw it away, and we will give it to our children and grandchildren following us.
And I must have read it somewhere in one of your books. Didn't he also pony up a lot of the money for the Revolutionary War to start with? Didn't he? I mean, he backed it up with everything he had.
Well, and see, that's what's so important because the soldiers were obviously very important because they were out there fighting, but there were so many people behind the scenes providing help that made a difference also. And he was one that he used his finances to buy gunpowder and bullets and things of this nature and buy food and clothing and help arm the soldiers that went out and did the fighting. And so it showed it took all the people contributing what they could where they were at to win. And that's what it takes us today to make our country work today and to perpetuate this. It takes all of us doing our small bits where we are, positive bits, to continue to perpetuate this freedom that we have.
I wonder how many people would put their solemn honor on the line for anything that they actually believe in anymore. In today's society, I put my honor on this. I wonder how many people would actually do that.
Well, a lot fewer. I mean, I think our military, they sign up and they know they're potentially putting their lives on the line.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many people outside the military really realize how important we all are. Because every one of us that does honest work, that has and raises kids, that helps our neighbor, contributes by taxes. I mean, all of us help in some ways, and all of our help is important.
Fair enough. Let's round out John Hancock here. So war gets over. What did he do after that? I mean, he spent a lot of his money. I'm sure he didn't just fade away.
No, he served in the Continental Congress till 1780, and then he helped write the Massachusetts Constitution. They were creating these colony governments while the war was going on. He served as the first governor of Massachusetts, and until he died in 1793. And we need to remember, politicians in those days didn't get rich. Politicians in those days generally didn't get paid anything, if much. So they sacrificed further when they had public service. It wasn't a job that you got paid and all these perks that we see politicians get today.
Out of curiosity, this would probably, you're a U.S. historian, I get that. How much of the original 13 colonies, their constitutions, each state, like Massachusetts, were almost a copy paste of the U.S. Constitution? You know what I mean? The idea that the frameworkers worked through so many things about individual liberties and stuff like that, was it kind of copy and paste for the original 13?
Well, I think there was a lot of similarities with each one of them having uniqueness for their colonies, because each of the colonies were unique, as you well know.
Sure. I presume a person can read up on all of this about Hancock in AmeriCANS Who Made America, the 18th century? No?
Yes, sir. John
Is he in there?
Hancock's prominent.
Yeah, I was going to say, that must be where I read that stuff. These are great history books. It's this one. I got the other one. Don't tell me I don't. The other one is, of course, the 19th century AmeriCANS Who Made America Great. And, of course, it all comes out of, if you're following along, Made in America by AmeriCANS, not AmeriCANS. How does someone pick up the growing library that you're going to want to have sitting? If you're a parent, a grandparent, and you want your kids to know about real AmeriCANS, how do they pick it up?
Well, thank you. RichardBattle.com is our website where all 12 books are. All are signed. If you'd like one inscribed, we're happy to do that. Email me, Richard@RichardBattle.com after you order. Amazon has all 12 books. Look under Richard V. Battle, 11 in Kindle and 8 in audio.
Okay, let me ask you this. Now we got the business done. How does Texas work if there's that much ice around there? You don't expect to get a UPS package, right? You're not going to get an Amazon package. They just said it. You don't, right? I mean, do you? How do I put this? It's 30 below, and we get the mail, and UPS shows up, and you get your packages. Amazon will tell you it's coming today. We don't. I don't remember the last time we just didn't get it. And you guys are shut down for a week, right? I mean, do you get anything?
Well, ice is different than cold and snow. Only Santa overcomes ice.
With the help of Rudolph. Okay, we're going down that road. I love having you on the program, my friend. It is always a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. God bless America.
At LGH Wealth Management, our mission is to create financial empowerment